Guys, this is how we're going to make some line designs. These can be really good decorations for the inside of your frames. Feel free to make it whatever shape or size you want to. I'm going to start off with making my rectangle. I'm going to line up my 0, always line up your 0. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a border each time. So I'm going to give myself a 2 centimeter border in this case. And put a dot at 2 centimeters. Move it down a little bit. Give myself another dot, 2 centimeters. Line up my ruler with both of those dots. I'm just going to cross that whole thing down. Got a nice line there. Alright, next, I'm going to give myself a border on the top of 2 centimeters. Do the same thing. Line up your 0, dot at 2. Scoot down a little ways, line up your 0, dot at 2. Now everything, if I were to draw a line here across these two dots, would be 2 centimeters. Bring my ruler up from the bottom, spread out my fingers, and dots are just barely above. Draw my line. Everything on that line is now 2 centimeters away from the edge. Now, I'm going to decide to make my rectangle, let's go with 14 centimeters tall. It's down here. Make sure you line up your 0 with whatever edge that is. And put a dot here at 14 centimeters. Bring my ruler down on the same line from the top. Line up my 0. Put another dot at 14 centimeters. It's really important that you don't have a crooked ruler, because if that happens, you're not going to be measuring actual 14 centimeters. Line it up there. You can choose whatever length on this you want. It's up to you. Doesn't really matter. Line up my 2 dots. My dot there. My 14 centimeter dot up there. I'm going to do the whole page for now. Make sure they're perfectly lined up. If I'm right-handed, I'm going to draw with my right hand, spread out my fingers on the left, and point my pencil towards the ruler so it doesn't slip away. Next, I'm going to make my rectangle 20 centimeters wide. Put a dot here at 20 centimeters. And come down here. Make sure I line up my 0. And put a dot at 20 centimeters. Remember, line up your 2 dots, top and bottom, spread out your fingers, and draw. That was a little bit short, but I think it's going to be okay. Alright, next on this design, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to put some marks. On this side, I'm going to put my marks at every 2 centimeters. Give myself like a nice big one so I know exactly what I'm looking for. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. On this side, I'm going to do my centimeters at 1 centimeter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now, to make these interesting, what you're going to do on this side is I'm going to connect this bottom one all the way over here to this far one over here. You can do both sides at 1 centimeter. It's up to you. It just depends on which design you're looking for. So I'm going to line up that top, that very last dot there. My last line right here. Right exactly at that point. Make sure they're nice and neat and straight. And draw your line. I'm going to switch to the next one. And draw my nice, neat, straight line here. Switch to the third one. Switch to the fourth one. Switch to the fifth one. Sixth one. Seventh one. Eighth one. Ninth one. Sweet. All right. So now you're going to start to see this really cool slope here. This one only has 10 dots, and this one has 14 dots. So the shape kind of curves longer down here than it does up there. And then it just kind of goes off into 0 here. If you were to do the exact same thing on the other side, you'd get kind of this oval shape. If you do the same number of dots on both sides, same spacing, it'll look different. You can choose how many centimeters you want to go each direction. This makes kind of like a three-dimensional interesting shape as it goes around. Something I would then like to do is take my colors and say, hey, I'm going to start off with this first one's going to be red. Color it really neat, nice and neat. Next one could be black. If you go through and are really slow and careful about this, you can end up with a really beautiful shape. This one black. Anyway, you get the basic idea of this thing. I'll show you a picture of the final thing when I'm done with it. All right. Obviously, make it whatever spacing you want to, whatever length you want it to make. Play around with it and see what you can build. This is some really beautiful shapes here.